So he is currently serving a 30-year sentence for an attempted kidnapping. And this week we broke the story that this inmate actually has won a $1 million settlement with the state and the Department of Corrections. John Snorsky won that lawsuit, saying that he wasn't protected from a violent prison gang.
There are a lot of questions that we had about this settlement as well. So that's why we bring in our 9 News legal analyst, Whitney Traylor. And before we kind of get into the legal analysis of this, get us up to speed with the facts and what led to the settlement. I mean, he almost died in prison, right?
Yes, he's been attacked so many times, and how he became an informant, which led to him being attacked, was really bizarre. So he was in a jail cell, and this leader of this white supremacist gang, the 211 crew, was talking about killing this other man who was he said was a child molester, essentially. Well, the other man was John Snorsky's buddy, who he had committed the burglary with, that he was in jail for in the first place. And so he went to prison authorities to tell them, hey, this is what happened, and I'm willing to testify, or willing to, testify against him or whatever. And that's when he basically started being attacked. And by these various gangs, they were moving him around, and he was still being attacked. And the allegations are that the Department of Corrections and a number of prison authority officials saw this and didn't do anything about it. So it was really bizarre how he happened to hear about the situation and then became an informant, and they just didn't give him the protection that he needed.
Well, nobody wants to be stabbed, nobody wants to be attacked, but if I won a $1 million settlement, that might be a little simpler than if I was serving a 30-year stretch. How does that work, do you think? I mean, does that make any sense yet, how that plays out?
Well, it makes sense in the sense that he filed this lawsuit under what's 42 U.S.C. 1983, which says, look, people under the color of state law, people working for the state, the government, didn't protect me. So it's almost a civil rights violation. And the allegation was they knew this. And so they did negotiate this settlement. There were a number of different defendants. Now, he's serving a 30-year sentence. I don't think he's eligible for parole until 2034. So the money, as I understand it, I saw at least one article that said he's received the money already. And so, I mean, first he'd have to, any restitution or child support or judgments would all have to be paid first. And then I guess it would essentially go on his books, and he would have that money to access, for things while he's in the system.
But it remains his just through the prison walls. So he can't go use it as freely as someone else would be able to use that money.
Exactly. He could, I guess, transfer it to his family or that kind of thing, but for him to do anything outside of the jail, no, I don't really think.
Would it be filtered, though, for the crime that he committed that first put him in there? That's been adjudicated and settled, but would the people that he committed his crime against be able to pursue some of that money even now?
And that's a great question. And if there was restitution ordered, which many times there are when there's victims, then yes, they could do that. If there wasn't restitution, or if it's already been paid, can they go after the fact and go after the money? That's a great question, and we may see litigation related to that.
Yeah, I mean, that was our biggest question is what happens with this money right now while he's still in prison. And I assume this doesn't happen all the time, but there are prisoners that are hurt in prison. Yes. Now, the DOC did not admit any wrongdoing in this settlement.
Yep, and that's not
did settle.
They did settle, and so you can glean from that what you will. If you're paying $1.1 million in a voluntary settlement, that obviously means you have, I mean, I think it's a reasonable deduction that you have concluded you have some exposure. Now, of course, people settle lawsuits for all different types of reasons. The attorney fees, the exposure, the ability to win. But here, I mean, this was a significant, it's being reported as the largest settlement in Colorado's history with the Department of Corrections, so that's fairly significant.
I think it's one of those things when you hear an inmate wins a large settlement after they're convicted, you're like, what?
Right.
But you also realize that the state is responsible for the lives of the people in the correctional facilities.
And that's an important point. I mean, that is, they're paying their time. They're in jail. They've lost a number of liberties and things of that nature. But the department and the state is responsible for their safekeeping. And the allegations here are that at least in one of the attacks, in 2017, he was stabbed 43 times by 3 inmates, and they were charged with attempted murder. And the allegations are that there were at least 15 prison authorities that saw this and didn't do anything. And for an attack like that, with the amount of cameras and personnel in there, it is surprising that nobody would have saw anything. So yeah, there is a duty, and some people say, well, you're in jail, you did the crime, do the time. But that doesn't mean you lose all rights, all civil liberties, and all those types of things. And here, being safe is just a fundamental aspect of that. And if they're not keeping them safe, and according to Snorsky, he's saying, well, they put you in, they'll put you in with your worst enemy. And that's what they were doing and he was attacked a number of different times, and some of those attacks were because, as they reported, that the inmates thought he was a child molester, and of course they're like the lowest tier of the caste in the prison system.
It's something that's been interesting to follow just recently, and that payment as well. We'll continue to follow it. We appreciate your insights as always.
Sure thing.
Thanks. Whitney Traylor.